Hello there, my name is Sylvain Rochon. I am the Paradise Engineer, and today I'm going to be talking about a new article I just wrote. Will be published shortly in a new publication, might add, and I'm very proud of it with about 500,000 subscribers in this case, so I'm upgrading my readership. Um, in this case, it's about who's to blame for the problems we have in our economy right now, and how can we solve that? And the answer is that we are the problem and the solution. I mean, the consumers, every one of us. And let me explain why. Our current economic problems, or at least let's be specific, is we're having a hard time making ends meet. A lot of too many people are below the poverty line, but as I'll describe a little bit later, it's not that different from before, since for the last 50 years. The issue is more about how our uh, the money that we bring into the home is way less compared to the cost of living, and it has been a problem for a long time. So the reason why the poverty we don't have more people under the poverty line is because we have figured out ways to keep making ends meet for the most of us. And there's a lot of information in the economy that is very confusing to people. Some of it is very enthusiastic. Some of it is actually quite depressing. And I'm going to try to entangle some of that. And the message I'm going to try to extract from this is that we are in control of this. We're actually responsible for the problems and the solutions. And here's what I mean by that. This is something that's been going on for hundreds of years. Like, we are always consistently as consumers looking to buy things for less money, obviously, because we have limited money to spend. So we want cheaper things while retaining the quality. And in the free market, like in the Western world, companies are competing for the dollars that we want to spend. And they know that we want high quality, less expensive products and services. So they're competing with each other to try to provide just that. Now, how do they do that? Well, by reducing costs while maintaining the quality of the service, so that they can, keep the costs low for us while still making a profit. Everything is obvious. So far, so good. Now, one of the ways that companies are doing this is by trying to employ as few people as possible. And the reason for that is that people are expensive. Benefits, sometimes they get sick and they have problems, and there's always extra costs associated with having full-time employees. And for the longest time, the only way to get a higher quality product and at a lower price is to having very efficient, high-quality employees. It's great. We've also added to the mix over a long period of time, added technologies that support the productivity of the workers. Computers is a very good example in general. We've been able to leverage computing power to increase our productivity. So if you're very capable on the computer to use the tools there, you increase your productivity, so you can produce more for the company you work for at a lower cost. And so you're highly skilled. It's still really dependent on the employee. Now, in the more recent years, because of the introduction of the internet, so in a popular way, in a more broad way, that's near the year 2000, roughly. Even though it existed before that, it wasn't widely used as much as so much. Since the year 2000, where what we call the techno bubble for the internet, the internet has been leveraged in a very popular way across the board, and it's always been exponentially used, and still expanding its use today. It's like the fundamental platform on which most collaborations, most companies work for within their workforce, like remote work, intranets, so inside companies, and so on and so on. There's all this productivity that is based fundamentally on the infrastructure of the internet, and that allows us to do a lot of things from everywhere, and leveraging also expertise from different parts of the world where salaries are cheaper. We also have lots of robotics and automation already in place in industrial center areas. And now automation and AI is expanding and getting more sophisticated and going beyond industrial complexes and manufacturing and into commercial areas, into the services, into transportation, and so on, in other areas that are way more visible to us consumers. And that's where it becomes interesting, because we still want to have cheaper products, higher quality, but now automation has become so sophisticated and AI has become somewhat sophisticated, and we don't really see it too much as consumers, but it's getting out there, that it actually replaces a lot of paid tasks that used to be done by expert individuals, like super expert, highly educated, experienced individuals. And that is across fields. In fact, the World Economic Forum estimates that today, that was actually last year, 2018, they said that in that year, about 29% of all paid tasks could be automated. And the estimate is that in the year 2022, so 2 years from now, 4 years after they said, well, 3 years from now, anyway, 4 years after they staked into the ground the 29%, in 2022, they estimate about 42% of all paid tasks will be automated. This is because of automation, AI, all these advances in technology. They become so sophisticated that they can replace experts with lots of experience in doing these tasks. Now, going back to the competitive natures of companies, and the fact that employees are expensive, if they can automate something that keeps the quality high, but they don't need the people, companies will implement that to save money so that we can have cheaper products. So our own demand for cheaper products at higher quality, down the line where the offer is proffered, by the companies, they are reducing the amount of paid individuals to produce the product. So our own demand for our own dollar is reducing the jobs in the market, and the jobs in that market means that there's less disposable income in people in the first place to actually buy the things. So it's kind of a vicious circle that happens, and it's been happening for a long time and kind of forever, because even though there's jobs that are displaced, there's a saying that, well, it creates new jobs, and that's also true today. You can look at the unemployment numbers, and it keeps going down. So we're thinking, well, there's more jobs, and that, again, entirely true. There are more jobs available. The issue that we're seeing is that even though there are more jobs available, the real median family income has actually been plateauing since the year 2000. Whereas before the year 2000, it's been increasing along with the increases in productivity. So until the year 2000, approximately, people would bring home more money related to the amount of productivity that automation and technology and tools would bring into the workplace. But now its productivity still keeps increasing this at relatively the same rate as before, but salary or the income has been stabilized, even though unemployment has been going down. Why? Well, there is quite an increase in the amount of contract work that's been going on. And part of the reason for that, again, is our own fault. We want cheaper products at higher quality. Companies need to cut costs. We are the most expensive aspect of it. So automation is one part of reducing costs. Another way to reduce costs, even though you need some individuals to do certain things, is to participate, the companies participating in the gig economy. So hiring somebody on a short-term contract is way cheaper than hiring a full-time employees with full benefits and so on and so forth. So companies are using a lot more contract work. It used to be more problematic to do contract work, but now, because of the internet so prevalent and so many tools like Elance, Even things like Uber, where you can self-employ yourself into into a gig, Airbnb, and so on, and a Guide Point, and there's a bunch of systems out there that allows companies to just pick a task and get an expert to do only that. You don't need to pay any benefits. You just pay for that task being done by an expert. So that movement has been increasing, which is why the unemployment rate has been going down. Because if you ask as part of a census or some kind of survey, if you are employed and you are driving an Uber car, using that as a simple example, you will say, yes, I'm self-employed. I employ myself, even though you may not make ends meet driving only the Uber car. So that's why, even though the real median family income has been stable, which is unusual since the year 2000, unemployment rate has been going down, and the gig economy has been going up. And again, that's because most people, more and more people, are taking contract work and not making a lot of money, or less money. The cost of living is still going up. The money that goes into the house kind of remains stable, which is bad. It's been going on for 20 years. Salaries, minimum salaries, and things like that hasn't been increasing a whole lot in the past 20 years in a lot of domains, because companies don't want to pay more. They have alternatives, and there's a problem if you increase salaries too much. The companies may say, well, that's way too expensive, I'm just going to automate that instead. It's the problem, the dilemma that we're having now, because again, the market, the purchase power of the individual is driving what the companies will do, and they want to keep costs low. And on the other hand, as consumers, we need those salaries and this income to actually buy the products. And we want constantly cheaper products without sacrificing the quality. So this cycle is kind of problematic. We are creating also a solution. I know in the States, the statistics is 36% of the population are partaking in the gig economy, because it's gotten easier to have, to drive Uber in the evening, for example, or rent a room in your car, or using Airbnb in your house, using Airbnb to supplement your income. It's gotten easier to do that. The poverty rate has remained stable. And again, I'm showing graphs here and there. Between 10 and 15%. It's been the same since the 70s. It's been fluctuating a bit. That's because people, as they become, they get into financial trouble trying to make ends meet, they figure out ways always to make ends meet. And right now, the way we manage, because salaries and incomes have been kind of stagnating, there are more and more tools figured out by innovators in the market that also are people that want to make ends meet by making businesses. They make apps and that facilitate the gig economy. And that allows more people that they say, look, I need more income. I'm going to participate in the gig economy too. And to supplement their income so that they can buy the cheap things that they want at a high quality. And that also, these systems that help the consumers buy things by generating additional income, that signals to the companies, hey, look, like now there's all these people that are contractors on the internet, easy to pick out. I'm going to hire more contractors because that's cheaper, and I can produce and compete with my product. So the cycle remains a problem. As we generate solutions, we create the problem of lessening our purchasing power by reducing the amount of money companies will want to spend on us. Hence the stagnating median family income in North America in general. Now, where's the silver lining in this? There is one, because I'm an optimist. The silver lining is that this can't go on forever. There's a point where, again, the example is in the 50s and 60s, the unemployment rate was 22%, was higher. The poverty rate was 22%. But those people that had jobs, and usually everybody had a full-time job, like that was the thing. but it was only one person that had the job. It was sustain the whole family with a home and all this stuff if you had a decent job. That was the situation back then. Now, every adult needs the equivalent of a full-time job working full hours to make ends meet in general, because again, family income, medium, I mean, it's a bit of an issue. And this will continue to be a problem because cost keeps going up. And if the family income keeps stagnating, and there's no reason why it would increase, because companies need to reduce that cost. And the automation and AI will become more and more sophisticated, being able to replace more people. There's no reason why companies would hire more people, increase their salaries, because expert AI is better and cheaper. So just like I wrote in some of my other articles, many of them, we need to change the economy. We can't maintain this forever. We have solutions and we figure things out for ourselves, being innovative and creative and needing to make ends meet. We find ways, but those ways manage to exacerbate the problem and reduce our purchasing power in the end. So again, the silver lining is that we can create a new economy, and I can refer to an article I wrote 2 weeks ago. I think it was published just last week. There is a way to fix the economy, to change it to something where this vicious circle doesn't exist anymore, changing it completely. And we need to do this within the next 10 to 15 years, because in about 20 years from now, AI is going to be able to replace basically 90% of all jobs that are currently being paid for, including new jobs that are being created through innovation, technology, and so on, because AI will be more expert than us at even a new thing that comes out. They won't need to be trained in specific jobs anymore. Things are exponential, they accelerate, and AI will be creating its own AI to accomplish new tasks as new tasks need to be accomplished in society, in the economy, in business, and so on and so on. So between now and then, we have to change the economy to something different. In the meantime, there are ways where we can figure things out. The poverty rate remains fairly stable. That's good, I guess, even though in these days you figure 10 to 15% is really high. I agree. We just need to change things. It's unsustainable. And because we know this is coming, and we have a really good understanding of the economy and how things are rolling now, we have AI as tools and intelligent software as tools to figure out a new system, predict, simulate one, and then we can establish one without being blind to it. And that's the silver lining. Those tools that are displacing all this stuff, that are creating all these issues because of us wanting cheap things and wanting to buy things that we need, those very same tools that our companies are creating to make things cheap for us, these are the tools that can allow us to create this new economy that can work without us needing to work to create the productivity at all. We need to shove that over to AI and automation. We need productivity to be entirely in their hands, and we don't want to have to work to survive anymore. It is unsustainable anyway. That's not a sustainable system. So we need to change it, and we got the tools upcoming that allows us to make that change. We are the power. Everybody at all levels need to make ends meet. Company owners, people that are poor, the rich, middle class, workers, owners, everybody. And we can make it work for everybody. We just have to change the economy. We can do it. So let's get to it, right? That's gonna be it for now. I'm gonna have another opinion, another article in approximately a couple of weeks to publish. So look for that. And if you like what you see, well, subscribe, share, do whatever you want. I hope you're going to be part of the movement of change, positive thinking, and designing our future, designing, engineering our paradise. And that's why I exist. Bye-bye.